Hi Stampers, welcome to Great Inspirations. My name is Kim Tolbert and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Switzerland County, Indiana. Thank you for joining me today and I invite you to subscribe to my channel. And please remember to hit that notification bell so you'll know each time I upload a new video. So, how about we take a look at the project for today? Today we're going to create a background using some Elmer's glue and one of Stampin' Up's blending brushes, a couple of craft sticks or tongue depressors, and a piece of basic white cardstock. And of course we'll be using some ink and some stamps. And the card will end up looking something like this. Only without the little enamel dots because number one, I think I got a little carried away with these. And number two, I ran out of them. So there we go. But I'm going to show you how to do this background. It's really easy and it just gives a different kind of texture and the colors that you blend together. It just kind of adds a little extra something to the background. So the first thing we're going to do is to get our paper here ready and use our glue. And it doesn't take a lot of glue to do this, and also you can always add more, let's put it that way, but you also want to make sure not to have big globs of it here and there. So what I did, I just put some on each of my sticks, and you can go just up and down, back and forth in circles, it doesn't matter, and you do not have to cover the entire piece of cardstock. It's advisable to put something under your cardstock because the glue is quite sticky. So I have the silicone craft sheet. You could also use perhaps some wax paper or parchment paper. So we just move the glue around the paper. And I've used 2 sticks because that way I don't have to put more glue on my stick. And there we go. I'm going to move those aside. And now you will need a heat tool, or you can let this sit for a while. It will probably take at least 30 minutes, maybe less, for it to dry. But I'll do it. Now this will be a little noisy, but you just dry it with the heat tool. And you just keep going. I should turn it on high. But you would just keep going until it is dry. And I do have one that's already dry. We'll set this one aside. And here it is. And this is when we get to put the ink on. And for my background, I chose to use Rococo Rose and Calypso Coral. But we're going to go with the Calypso Rose first. I thought it would be best to go with the lighter color, but between the two of these, they're approximately the same as far as the hue goes. But I just thought, well, I'll go with the Rococo Rose first. And just ink up my brush. Not really sure what I've got on that ink pad. Anyway, we'll ink it up. I move a little bit off, and then we just put it on our cardstock. And you don't have to cover the entire piece of cardstock with the Rococo Rose. And I'm not sure if it's showing up, but there is a bit of resistance from the glue. Oh, I've got it on my finger. Yay. Okay. There's the Rococo Rose. Now we'll do the Calypso Coral. Let's get a little bit of the Rococo Rose off my brush. You can kind of see the background starting to take shape there. And I think I'll put just a little more of the Rococo Rose. There we go. And because the glue has changed the surface of the paper, you do need to go over it with the heat tool again. Doesn't take very long. It's just enough to give that glue, make sure it's dry and it won't come off. And now we're going to stamp the background. And I'm going to be using the Seaside Notion stamp set. It's one of my favorite stamp sets, and it is retiring with the 2020-2021 annual catalog. So it's available now, but I can't promise how long it will be available because it is on the retiring list, and things tend to go fast on there. But the last day to get it for sure is May 3rd. So there's that. So I'm going to use some, I'm really reaching in front of you there, I know. But we'll use the Calypso Coral, we'll use some Cinnamon Cider, and we'll use some Flirty Flamingo, and some of the shell images. I'm just going to randomly, I think I need to move these a little bit, randomly stamp some of the images on here. And you do have to be just a little careful because they will smear. So after we're finished with this, we'll hit it one more time with the heat tool. Oops, that's not the one. Let me see. I've got these backwards. We want that one to be Cinnamon Cider. I want this one to be the Calypso Coral. Maybe put one there. Okay, now we're ready for the Cinnamon Cider. There we go. I'm going to set these two aside. And we're going to dry this one more time with the heat tool. It doesn't take long. We'll just set that aside because we have some other stamping to do. Because for the card, you're going to need a piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock. That's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and folded for our card base. And then for the inside, we're taking a piece of Petal Pink that is 5 1/4 by 4. And then this will be a matte. It's Cinnamon Cider, and it is, let me see, 4 by 5 1/4. And this piece of basic white is 3 3/4 by 5. But you don't have to worry about all these measurements because they will be on my blog, and in the description of this video I will put a link to my blog, so you'll be able to get all the measurements there. But we're going to stamp on this. Oh, and you also need a piece of scrap paper or of scrap cardstock that's Flirty Flamingo. And I cut this out with the stitch shape dies, the oval, and it is the second smallest. And the stitch shape dies are also on the retirement list. If they were on your wish list, you might want to pick those up pretty quickly. So we are going to stamp with gratitude in the cinnamon cider. And it is from the Seaside Notion stamp set. If I can get it on there. Oh, it's off a little, but it'll be okay. And then I have another greeting for the inside that is from the Happy Thoughts stamp set, which is in the current mini catalog. It's this one. The little things you do so well and so often make a big difference to so many people. Get that cinnamon cider. And I'm going to use the Flirty Flamingo one more time. Let's stamp a little shell down here. Okay, the stamping is finished. Now I need to reach over here and get my adhesive, my Stampin' Seal. And let's put this card together. On this, because we've used the heat tool on it so much, I am going to put a little extra adhesive just to kind of help flatten it out a bit. There we go. This to put inside. Okay, there's that. Okay, so you can see the different colors and just kind of the texture the glue added. Okay, now we'll put this on. Let me get some dimensionals. Of course, I did not have them out and ready. We can get them. There we go. And then you just kind of decide where you think this would be best. I kind of like it over here. There you go. There's a card. And of course, if you wanted to put some enamel dots or maybe even some pearls or something on there, that would be nice. Let me show you a couple of other cards. There's the one I made the other day. There's the one we just made. And then here's another one I made with the Seaside Notions. I used the seahorse image right here and the happy birthday, and of course a couple of the shells. And for this one I used Pool Party and Pretty Peacock. And here's another one. This was kind of interesting, the way the background turned out on it. I used Pretty Peacock and Bermuda Bay, but it turned out there was these gray shades in it once the Bermuda Bay went over the Pretty Peacock. And then to get these check backgrounds, I used another retiring stamp set from the current annual catalog, and it's Game On. I use this image right here. So, here's a look at the background, just the background. As you can see, every one turns out a little differently. Get these out of the way. And a lot of it just depends on how you spread the glue. So, just by using a bit of Elmer's glue and those blending brushes, which I do love, and some ink, you can get a great background to make some really interesting cards. And I do have a bit of an interesting story for you. While I was preparing for this video, I was using an old heat tool that it was not Stampin' Up. I love my Stampin' Up heat tool. But I have another one that just happened to be sitting here, so I used it. Kind of had a little incident. Sparks began flying and smoke was rolling out of it, so I had to take it out of my craft room. But that's while I was drawing one of these backgrounds. So yeah, it was a little bit interesting today. So if I seem a little flabbergasted or discombobbled, you know why. But anyway, I really want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you try this technique. It really does make for some interesting backgrounds. Until next time, stamp happy.